We're going to talk a little bit about multiplying two-digit numbers by two-digit numbers. Now, the key is to remember one little fact here, that whenever we have a number, if we write it out in expanded form, we know that 28 is made out of 20 and 8 added together. So I can separate out that number and still be able to add it in order to be able to get 28. Okay. So first thing I do whenever I look at one of these problems is I take it from this horizontal form and I put it into this more vertical form. It just makes it easier for me to think about. Then there's two different ways to do this problem. So I'm going to show you the first way. The first way is where you take the bottom number here and you divide it out just like we did that 28. So 12 is made out of 10 and 2. So I divide that problem out and I go ahead and solve each of them. So I'm going to use my zero trick on this one. So that would be 3, that would be an 8, and a 0. So 380 for that one. Then for this one over here, 2 times 8, that's going to be 16. Okay, 3 times 2, that's going to be 6, plus my 1 up here, that's 76. And then what I want to do is I want to add these two numbers together. And whenever I add those two numbers together, what I end up with is 456. So this is one way to go about solving the problem. I'm going to show you a different way of solving it as well. So instead of having these three parts all separate, on this one what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all three parts together. So I start off and I just imagine that the 2 is the only thing that's here. So 2 times 8, 16. And then I go, okay, 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 76. Now what I need to do is I need to go over to my tens place. And now I'm going to pretend that this is a 10 here, just like we did kind of over here. So I go, okay, the 2 isn't there, that's a 0. And I know that my ones place is going to be a 0 since I'm working with tens. 8 times 1 is 8. And 1 times 3 is going to be 3. And then I add those together and I get 456, just like I did whenever I took the problem apart. So either way is perfectly fine if you want to try it out. This way is just a little bit more compact, but if this one makes more sense to you, please, by all means, use it. Let's do another one. So I take this vertical or this horizontal problem and I put it into vertical form so it's easier for me to think about. I know that this 43 is made out of 40 and it's made out of 3. So I can take 40 or 92 times 3 and 92 times 40 in order to get my answer. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do this one and I'm going to use my zero trick. 4 times 2, I know that that's 8. 9 times 4, that's going to be 36. And then I can't forget to put my 0 on the end of it since I'm using my zero trick. Now I'm going to add that to the result of 92 times 3. So 3 times 2, that's going to be 6. 9 times 3 is going to be 27. So I add that together and I get 3,956. So let me show you in the other way of doing it. So that's the first way. Now here's the second way. I imagine that the 3 is just sitting there and there's no 4 there. 3 times 2, that's going to be 6. 3 times 9, that's going to be 27. Okay. Then I put a 0 down here to show that I'm now going to be working with 40. So 4 times 2, that's going to be 8. 4 times 9, that's going to be 36. Okay, then I just add those together. And so 6, okay, and I got 7 and 8, so that's going to be 15. And then 6, 2, that's going to be 8, 9. And this is going to be 3. So if we look, we have the same answer both ways. Again, this is just a little bit more compact way of doing it, but if it makes more sense to do it this way, do it this way. Okay, now it's your turn. I want you to stop the video and I want you to try and solve these two problems. So stop the video. Okay, here we go. So I rewrite my problem so that it makes sense to me. And I know that 15 is made out of 10 and 15 is made out of 5. So I can take 19 times 10 and I can take 19 times 5. Okay, so I go through and I solve those problems. So 19 times 10, I'm going to use my 0 trick, and that's going to end up being 190. And then this one over here, 5 times 9, is going to be 45. And then 5 times 4, or I'm sorry, 5 times 1 is going to be 5 plus 4 is going to be 9. So I have 190 plus 95 that I'm going to need to do. So then what I do is I add those two together and I get 285. Now if I choose to do it the other way, remember I pretend that this 1 doesn't exist right now and I pretend that the 5 is the only thing that's sitting there. So 9 times 5, that's going to be 45. So I put my 4 up here to carry it and my 5 down here. And then I go 5 times 1 is 5 plus 4, that's 9. Then I'm going to put a 0 in here since I'm working now with the tens place. Now I pretend that it's a 10 down here, not this, and this 5 isn't here. So I go 1 times 9, that's 9. And I go 1 times 1, that's 1, plus my 4 from before, or wait, no, I did that wrong. See, one of the things that you have to remember to do whenever you're doing this is you got to remember to erase the things that are up above. I often forget to do that, and that's where I make my mistakes. So be careful that you're not forgetting to do that. So I took 1 times 9, that's 9. 1 times 1, that's going to be 1. 5, I'm going to add that up, so then I have 5, I have 18. Okay. And what did I do? 190. Miss Miller, you added wrong for your hundreds place. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to erase, and I'm going to add a 2 here. There we go. Okay, so 285 is what you should have gotten for that one. All right, so I take the, if you haven't already, stop the video before we go on to the next one and try this one out. Okay, so I rewrite it in vertical format. Okay, so I know that 23 is made out of 20 and it's made out of 3. So I could take 49 times 20 and add it to whatever's the answer of 49 times 3 and get my answer. So I use my 0 trick here, so this is going to be 18. And then I do 2 times 4, that's going to be 8, 9. So that's 98. Then I got to add my 0 on it since I'm using my 0 trick. Okay. Then I come over here. 9 times 3, that's 27. And then 3 times 4, that's going to be 12, 13, 14. So 147 plus 980. So I go over here and I'm going to add those together and I get my amount, which is 1,127. Now I'm going to go over here and do the other way of doing this. So I picture that the 3 is the only thing that's here right now. So 3 times 9, I know that that is 27. 3 times 4, that's 12, plus 2, that's going to be 14. I put my 0 down in order to show that I am now going to work with the 20. So I imagine this 3 is just a 0 here, because now I'm going to pretend that it's 20. And so I don't make the same mistake I made last time. I'm going to erase this up here just so I don't confuse myself. Okay. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to take 2 times 9. That's 18. And then I'm going to take 2 times 4. That's 8, 9. So I get my 980 plus 147. And that will get me my 1,127 for my answer. Okay, let's try another one. Go ahead and stop the video and try these two out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I rewrite it for the first thing. And oh, what am I doing? I'm not doing that one. I know that 71 is made up out of 70 and made up of 1. So I can take 35 and multiply it by 70. I can take 35 and multiply it by 1. So 35 times 1, oh, that's easy. I know that one. That's 35. 35 times 7 with the 0 trick in it is going, or 35 times 70 with the 0 trick in it is going to be a little bit harder. So 7 times 5, that's going to be 35. 7 times 3, that's 21, plus another 3, that's 24. And I put my 0 on the end of it because I'm using that 0 trick to multiply that 70. So then I add them together and I get my answer. Now if I'm doing the other way of doing it, imagine that the 1 is only here. 1 times 5, 5. 1 times 3, 3. Okay, I don't have anything I need to erase up here, so then I put in my 0 since I'm doing my 70 now. 7 times 5, that's 35. 7 times 3, 21, plus 3, that's going to be 24. So I get the exact same answer as before. So 24, 85. Okay. How are we doing on our time here? Let's do it. We're coming down on the end of our time here. So we're going to just finish this part up. I'm going to go super fast on this one. So I rewrite it. 10 and 8 is what I need to multiply my 26 by. So I do my 0 trick on this one, so I know it's 260 that this one's going to be. Now 8 times 6 is going to be 48. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 4, that's going to be 20. And I'm going to add those together, and that's going to get me that. Now I go over here to do it. 8 times 6, we determined was 48. 8 times 2, 16, plus 4, that's going to be 20. And then I put my 0 in here, and I pretend that there's a 0 here, and I just move on to my 1. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 2 is 2. I add it,